What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome to this special episode of Outside the Trenches. I am BJ Kissel, joined as always by Tucker Franklin and Nick, who may be joining us here in a few minutes. But we have got a special guest in former Kansas City Chiefs and Dallas Cowboys and a few other teams. But for this week, we'll just say Chiefs and Cowboys linebacker and Justin March-Lillard, one of my favorite guys that I was lucky enough to spend some time around during my time with the Chiefs. Justin, thank you for joining us. This is going to be a lot of fun.
No problem. Thank you guys for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. Well, like I said, there's a cool perspective of somebody who played for both teams. Now, you played the majority of your career thus far with Dallas and playing, I think, in 60 career games, and 50 of those were with the Cowboys, obviously with the Chiefs and Cowboys playing this week. And those are, a matchup of the top two teams in their division, the 7-2 Cowboys, the 6-4 Chiefs. So a lot to get down in this one. But before we break it all down, we do have to thank Jack Stack Barbecue, our sponsor. Whether you're in Kansas City or whether you live around the country, jackstackbbq.com will take care of you. Not a lot goes better together than football and barbecue, and everybody in Kansas City knows that. Justin, you probably remember that. It's been a few years, but I'm sure you remember that.
I do. Think about it all the time.
We appreciate our friends at Jack Stack Barbecue for making all of this possible. All right, Justin. What are you up to now, man? Because it's been a couple years since we had spoken, and it was following your career, running around doing different things. You've had a phenomenal career in your path. It's been cool to follow. It was cool to follow for those few years that we were around and right after that. But what are you up to now? Tell the people what you got going on.
Yeah, so me myself, I'm currently, being a husband and a father. That's kind of like my main duties, as well as working out. In hopes that, I'll get another shot on another team. Obviously, this territory is kind of unfamiliar because I've always been, on a team since I've been in the NFL. But really just working out, training, doing all those kind of things, and also being able to be around my kiddos, be around my wife, and actually getting to be able to watch some football from a different perspective, not so much breaking down film, but actually enjoying it from a fan standpoint. So that's kind of been the blessing within this, spending time with my kids, and also getting to see football from a different angle, being able to see, not really have to critique or look at what everybody's doing, but kind of just watch it as a fan and, kind of text the guys and who I think, gonna go off for a lot of yards or whatever it might be. So that's kind of what it is, just being a dad and being a husband and, just enjoying every moment of that.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, go ahead, Tucker.
Yeah. Well, I just had a question, Justin. You went to school at Akron. One of my favorite things to do in the middle of the week is watch some action football games.
Oh yeah.
I'm curious, when you were there, did they do the midweek games, or was that more of a kind of a recent thing?
No, they actually did. So I want to say my junior and senior year became more like popular, and it was always pretty fun because you're kind of like the only games that's on midweek. And then you kind of get the whole week excused from actual classes and stuff like that. So I just remember missing a ton of class and not having to walk, in the cold to certain places and stuff like that for class. So yeah, it's definitely fun. Definitely a lot of exposure in the MAC. Definitely a lot of hidden talent there. Some competitive ball from a lot of different teams. Right. But yeah, it was definitely one of those things that we kind of look forward to. Okay, November. and for obviously the wrong reasons. We didn't want to go to class often. So it was like, hey, we're kind of getting out of class this week. Harder classes might be Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, and you're kind of exempt from all of those. So
right.
That's part of the fun thing about the action, and then obviously playing and knowing that you got some people watching you.
That was the beauty of playing college baseball, is that you play so many games. We were gone all spring.
Oh,
like I was barely in class. Like we had
right.
midweek games that were home and away. Like we were all over the place.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna go back. So you said you're like watching the games as a fan now. Can you watch a football game as a fan, or do you mentally just start watching cues and start looking for things? What does that look like for you?
So I guess I attempt to watch it as a fan. So whether that's getting food or ordering wings before, stuff I've never been able to do since I was in high school, but being able to do that from a fan. And then when like there's like a 3rd and 1 or something like that, or there's certain teams going together, I kind of overanalyze it, and I'll say, hey, if I was the coach, this is what I would do, or hey, I know what they're thinking here, or hey, that Z came in motion, so I know it's a run, or the X is split, so in order to tighten down, so I know it might be a play action, all those kind of things. So I do tend to watch it, and from that perspective as well. But I attempt to watch it, as a fan. So I order my food, getting all those kind of things, trash talking between some of the guys, and then ultimately ends up in me getting stressed out trying to figure out what's going to happen on this play or that play.
Right. Yeah, so you came to the Chiefs as an undrafted free agent, kind of getting into the league. The Chiefs right now have got a lot of guys who are UDFAs getting playing time. I'm just curious, from your perspective, how tough is that as an undrafted guy to kind of come into a camp, make the active roster, and then Tershawn Horton's a guy I think of off the top of my head who came from a Division II school. He gets on an active roster, and now he's getting a lot of playing time. How tough is that to actually do?
Yeah, it's kind of difficult when you first come in, because you obviously know that you're going to be kind of like at the bottom of the depth chart. Yeah. But it takes a certain mentality to actually overcome and not really look at, where you're at on the depth chart, but actually just focus on, becoming the best player you can be. And I think the Chiefs do a great job of, actually telling you, hey, we don't care where you came from, but we're going to give you an opportunity. And what you do with that is totally up to you. So I think Coach Reed, and Veach and all those guys do a great job of that. So it makes these guys comfortable coming in, and knowing that they have a chance, and knowing that they're not just filling a roster. So I think a lot of great players come from that pool, across the league. So I think ultimately it's the GMs and the coaches that make these players actually believe in themselves and say, hey, it doesn't matter where you came from, if you can help us win, that's what we want. And and then the guys go out there and they take that and they run with it.
Yeah, we've seen a number of guys through the years, and guys that are on there right now. I know that around the time that you were there, Sharkandrick West came up and got called upon when Jamal got hurt. Daniel Sorensen's still there.
Yeah.
He was part of that original crew, and all those guys that kind of did that. But let's talk current Chiefs. And I know that you played on a few different teams, so I'm sure you got your eyes on a lot of different teams. When you've watched the Chiefs this year, let's get into the Raiders games. It's kind of like every other game, and then the Raiders game. Just what stood out to you about what you've seen from the Chiefs this year before we start talking about the matchup on Sunday?
Yeah. So just from my unbiased opinion, obviously I love the Chiefs, and such a powerful offense. And what I felt like personally was there was times where the defense kind of struggled, and being Patrick Mahomes, being one of the greatest quarterbacks that will ever play this game. You put a lot of weight on your shoulders and say, hey, I'm going to go out here and do this. And the more opportunities you have to go out there and, try to air a defense out, the more, mistakes or interceptions are going to come with it. That's just part of, being a leader, being a hero, and being somebody who does that. So I think that kind of, ultimately made them struggle a little bit. The defense wasn't playing so great. Patrick Mahomes comes in and, he's trying to make everyone get on board because he's a leader, right? So you take those chances and you go out there and you try to throw guys open, and you try to, air teams out. That's just what you do. That's just the nature of who he is. So I think that came with obviously some interceptions and stuff like that. But the Chiefs are the Chiefs. You can't look past them, and they can turn up and put 50 on you in a half. You just don't know. So I think that, and then I think obviously Patrick Mahomes came out this past game. Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, all those guys. It seemed like they were more in sync than they have been the past few weeks. And here we are getting it later in the season, and they've been here, many, many times before. So obviously they're just going to keep getting hot, and I expect them to ultimately be back in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the general consensus now after that game happened, especially on national TV too. So, Justin, I'm curious your thoughts on this Chiefs defense too. They first started out the season not looking very good, especially against the run, didn't look very good. And I know Mike DeVito and Jeff Allen have talked about once you get a certain point in the season, you stop those padded practices, and it was going to be even tougher for them to figure it out. But it seems like they've really figured things out. What are kind of your impressions of how they've been playing recently?
Yeah, well, I know Anthony Hitchens from a personal level,
Yeah.
so very good friend of mine. So I know that he's going to make sure those guys are ready to play. And obviously, you have some younger, talented linebackers, and Willie Gay and Nick Bowden. Those guys are outstanding young guys. So like I said, they've been here before. Nothing really matters up until this point. I think they will start being able to stop the run. As you can see in the Raiders game, they did a lot of great things to help, and I think that's just who they are. Obviously, with the Honey Badger and those guys on the back end, they can shut down anybody in any critical moment when they want to. And obviously, you got Dirty Dan, who's he's willing to make a play just about any time, and that's just part of his resiliency. I mean, the guy can lose a couple plays here and there and turn around and get you a forced fumble, and I think that's just been his MO. So like I said, these guys have all been here before, multiple times these past few years. And I think there's a lot of people on the outside that they don't really see that because you expect so much. You expect the Chiefs to go undefeated, right? You expect them to beat everybody. And I mean, that's the same exact thing when the Patriots were on their run. You expected them to win just about every time. So when they lost or when they didn't do so well, it kind of hurt. You know what I mean? So I think just seeing that and understanding that, and then also understanding what kind of team they are late in the year, I think they'll have no problem. Their defense will turn it around, and they'll kick it up here soon. Patrick Mahomes will be unstoppable. I don't think anybody's going to be able to stop Tyreek or Travis Kelce, in the long run. So, I expect this game to especially be a great matchup, knowing both teams. So, but yeah, I definitely expect the Chiefs to just keep getting better. I mean, they're a playoff Super Bowl team, so yeah, they'll keep getting better.
Just there's a lot of young fans in Chiefs Kingdom that we had to, as a consensus all together, we had to have a heart-to-heart on and talk about entitlement,
right,
fandom, and what's expected,
exactly,
out of a team, and that 40 points and shutouts is the NFL. But I do want to ask, because obviously you're close with the Cowboys, and for anyone who's listening to this, obviously is going to be watching the game on Sunday. What can you give us, like a quick 2-minute breakdown on the Cowboys on both sides of the ball? What can the Chiefs expect as a fan who's listening to this? What can they expect to see from the Cowboys on Sunday in this game?
Yeah, so Dallas is always a pretty competitive team. They're always going to come out. Dak is an unbelievable leader, so those guys will be ready to go. And then you also have a lot of young, swagger, talented defensive players that you can go out there and make plays. So I think it's kind of tough to know exactly what to expect, but I expect the Cowboys to come out and try to put up 50. Just like I expect the Chiefs to come out and try to do the same. I expect the Cowboys to, their defense to take it personal. I expect them to come out hungry. I expect Trayvon Diggs to accept this challenge playing Tyreek Hill. I expect, Jerron Kearse to come out and want to be on Travis Kelce. I expect, Micah Parsons to come out and want to get in just about everything across the, the middle of the field, get in the backfield, disrupt some plays. So I kind of expect them to be aggressive. I expect them to go in knowing, the talent that they're facing, knowing that they're facing, the Chiefs teams who, a team who's been in the Super Bowl the past couple of years, and, come out firing. I expect Dak to come out and try to play his best game and prove that, he should be in the conversation with Patrick Mahomes. So you can just expect a confident team that's going to come out and, and try to put up points. They're not going to small ball you. They're going to try to go over the top. They're going to try to see, how much the defense can hold up with, going against Zeke and our offensive line. So they're going to test the Chiefs for sure. They're going to see, can their DBs cover? Dax might try to throw for 400. I expect it to be, they're going to take what the Chiefs give them. I mean, are you going to give them the run? They'll keep feeding Zeke. But like I said, I expect the same thing from the Chiefs. I expect them to go out and try to put up 50, 60 points and prove that, they're the top dog in this league.
Yeah, basically what you're saying is take the over. So, and you talk about Micah Parsons, and it's a player that we should talk about because it's a player that Chiefs fans won't be familiar with yet, and they should. Same thing with Trayvon Diggs, leading the league in interceptions. Like these are two young players that you're going to hear their names on Sunday because that's just what they've been about. But as much as a Chiefs fan, you just look at that, it's just every week it's the same. Last week it was Max Crosby. A few weeks ago before that, it was Myles Garrett. It's not like they haven't faced these guys, but there's always a dude on the other side who gets paid a lot or is a top pick that can get after the opposing quarterback. Not going to make any comparisons to Dak and Mahomes, but the skill position players on the Cowboys of all the teams in the league, there's only a few that I feel like you could put in the conversation with the Chiefs, with Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. Dallas is one of those with Zeke, CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper. These guys can make plays and they have the ability to put up a lot of points. So a guy like Juan Thornhill, Honey Badger, those guys are going to be absolutely key in this game. But this, it always starts with the run game, especially with the Chiefs defense, what we've seen this year. At one point, they were giving up 8 yards. I think through like the first 4 weeks, they were giving up an average of like 8 yards a play on first down. Yeah. Like you can't be successful as a defense if you never even see a third down. What do you expect to see, I guess, to kind of combat what both teams do well? And not to get it too much into the scheme stuff, but just how, if you were a defensive coordinator, would you attack both of these teams?
So it's I would ultimately in a game like this, preferably I would come out and I would actually try to play man and just see who can guard who, right off the bat, and not try to just give Patrick Mahomes easy throws to throw the zone. Same thing with Dak. I would want them to have tougher throws. So I would play some man coverage. And within that, your linebackers are usually on the running back, so you can kind of see who's going to win the dogfight up front, what linebackers are going to be able to tackle on each side of the ball. But I expect Dallas to come out and be a little bit more balanced. Obviously, they have Tony Pollard, and I expect a big game from Dalton Schultz, who plays tight end, because you have so much to worry about, kind of on the outside, and where do you put the Honey Badger? Are you gonna waste him and put him on a tight end and then turn around and not have help on CeeDee Lamb and those guys over the top? In that situation, and then Dalton Schultz is a really good tight end, so he's definitely somebody that needs to be accounted for. So you're gonna have to, your linebackers gonna have to be able to cover and stuff like that. And I felt like in the game one with Tampa Bay when they played the Cowboys, I feel like they kind of blitzed a lot. They kind of got after Dak a little bit. So I think the Chiefs, if they're smart, they're going to want to run some blitzes. And but then Dak is also one of the best quarterbacks facing the blitz. So that's kind of tough. So mixing some man blitzes in there and stuff like that. And obviously from Mahomes, you just have to play some man coverage and make Tyreek and those guys get open, which they're unbelievable at doing. So I don't think as a defensive coordinator this is an easy game on either side. I think it's probably the toughest game to be a defensive coordinator. Facing these two teams. But I definitely, if it was me, I would definitely start off in man just to see kind of how it worked on both sides, see, who's getting open, if we can just guard, can we man up and play ball? And then, after that, you kind of mixing your own things and, maybe run some cover two, see if Patrick Mahomes can, hit some hold shots, see if he'll force some things, things like that. Same thing with Dak. I mean, Dak's one of the best quarterbacks in coverages, same with Patrick Mahomes. So, I think it'll be tough, but I think these teams will come out and run a little bit of man and see, okay, it's good on good. Let's see who's really better.
All right, let's bring on somebody. Our other co-host right now is here to join us, and Nick Leckie, former K-State All-American, 2-time Remington finalist as an offensive lineman at K-State. So let's bring Nick on here. I also grew up a Cowboys fan growing up in Dallas. No, you were not a Cowboys fan?
No,
you were an Emmitt Smith. You were an Emmitt Smith fan.
I was not Emmitt Smith.
You told me when you met him in Arizona, he was like the guy you watched growing up.
No, I was a Cowboy offensive lineman fan in the early '90s. Man, they kicked ass.
Okay.
They really did. So, but I liked Uncle E. Yeah, I liked Uncle E. He was a good guy. Yeah, and I was my buddies were more big fans. Yeah.
Sorry, Nick, Justin, Nick. We'll do this live on the show. But Nick, thanks for joining us, man. We're just talking Cowboys Chiefs matchup. I talked a little bit about the coverage from a defensive coordinator standpoint. What do you see from the guys up front? And you guys just kind of rap about two guys who played the game. What do you expect to see up front on the offensive line with both these guys? Because Chiefs offensive line is playing better, and we know what Dallas has.
Yeah, they're definitely gelling. I don't know how much film you've watched on the Chiefs, Justin, but based off sort of like what you've seen these past couple of weeks, how are you as a linebacker sort of attacking Darrell Williams? I mean, he's kind of emerged as their number one running back since Clyde Edwards-Helaire. How would you like the defense to attack that line of scrimmage, with D lineman and linebacker position from the Cowboys?
Yeah, so you definitely he's kind of a little bit more stout than a lot of people think and actually know. So you definitely don't want him to get extremely north and south on you. I feel like that's when he kind of does his most damage, is kind of running left off tackle. So you're probably going to want to have a little bit of movement and make him bounce a little bit, and then kind of get your safeties in him to kind of come down and tackle a little bit rather than always see him kind of running through some arm tackles. So I think if you kind of fit him up and you can get the right movement up front, I think that'll be good. Like I said, I think they'll come out to start off and kind of just man up and just see, hey, good on good, and see who can tackle and stuff like that. But I definitely think that you definitely want to have some movement, whether it's some pirates, whether you want the end knifing and getting Williams to bounce. And then just see, who can kind of scrape off the edge when you have a guy like Micah Parsons, coming over the top and one-on-one. So I think they're going to want that matchup. So if I'm the Cowboys, I'm definitely going to think about knifing the end and making Darrell Williams bounce, especially when he's trying to run, the bounce play, or I guess the belly bounce when he comes to the left and it kind of bounces out. I've seen him score or has some big runs on those plays. So I definitely think they'll have some movement for sure.
How does it change your mind as a linebacker? So let's say you get, maybe 60, 70 snaps, a down or a game total for an offense. And so they've gone from maybe running 10 running plays to running 20 or 30. How does that change your mentality from a linebacker's perspective?
The biggest thing that we've always been coached on is just kind of reading your keys, but definitely from a mentality standpoint, you want to be a little bit more aggressive coming downhill. The more runs you get, just because you don't want to be late on those runs. And sometimes when, a team, they're not really passing. I mean, they're not really running so much, but they're more so passing. Sometimes linebackers tend to be a little bit more, hesitant to come downhill. And that's when you see some of these power backs kind of running through arm tackles and linebackers not really fitting up too well. So I think if these guys just have to keep their keys, understand exactly what they're looking at, and then just kind of play ball and not really, get into the guessing game. But definitely have to be more aggressive the more runs you get.
And then also with that being said too, how is it like your coverage responsibilities, like first and second down? Like, is it just depend on the play called, or is it more reading keys, or is it, go from a run mode to a pass mode?
Yeah. So depending on what team you're playing, certain formations will, they might say, okay, P and 10, meaning the first drive, of the game, or the first drive coming out of halftime, or the first drive of a series. That first down is a little bit more different, than a traditional first down. So the P and 10 is what we call it. Some teams might be more, boot or play action, their first down of the series, or the first down of the game, or coming out the half. And then you have the, after they've already had a first down, what are those first downs looking like? Are they more, zone team? Are they more, quick game? Kind of what you're thinking. So every team kind of has a little bit of different flair on it, if you will. And then also it just depends on what package you're in. I mean, if they come out in 12 personnel, you can kind of expect, a run. You can kind of expect, some type of bigger type play like that. If they come out in 11 personnel, now you might be expecting a pass, or kind of like some one-on-one matchup type things. So it ultimately just kind of depends, what that formation is, what the personnel is on first down. And then ultimately, second and short, second and 5. You can get just about anything. They can run, get a, is this team a good 3rd and 1 team? It really just depends. So if they feel like, okay, they have a, 2nd and 5, they can run for 4 yards, and, they're good at converting 3rd and 1s, then they might do it. If they're not so good on third and short, they might come out and try to pass and pick up that first down on 2nd down. So it ultimately just depends, kind of like what personnel's in the game. Is the first down of the series? Is it after a first down? Are they more screen after they get a first down and then they hurry back up? Are they more, so you kind of see that from the Chiefs. You kind of see them and the Cowboys, honestly. You kind of see them get a first down, and then, when everybody's kind of thinking run, hurry up, get to the ball, there's some type of tight end screen or, misdirection screen off of it, and just kind of get everyone guessing. So it really just depends what kind of team are they on first down after they've already earned it, or if they're just coming out first down of the series.
All right, we've got a special guest that when we put out on social media that you were joining us, somebody gave a hashtag Quadzilla, and I sent a very quick DM and I was like, you want to come on and say hi to your old buddy? So let's bring on a familiar face to all of us here, Tucker. Let's bring on Mr. Aaron Borgman.
Yo, Bubba.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, my guy?
It's good to see you.
Thanks for having me, BJ.
Hey, no problem. Anybody who's listening on audio, we have welcome on Aaron Borgman. I want to say 9 years. How many years were you in the NFL?
12 in the league, 5 here in KC.
I wasn't even close. All right, 12 years in the league, 5 as an athletic trainer in Kansas City. Now he's got his own company doing his own thing. But anytime we have players on, the athletic trainers have better relationships with the players than probably anybody, in Nick's nodding, than anybody in the facility. And obviously 2 good dudes right here. But Aaron, we're talking a little Chiefs Cowboys on Sunday. And obviously Justin's got a unique perspective on this one.
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's nobody who knows these teams better than Justin. Obviously, he played for both of them. He played really well for both of them. And I got to tell you, I've rehabbed a lot of people, and Justin was the only person to never say no. He gave me a lot of dirty looks sometimes. He gave me a lot of questioning looks. He never said, I ain't doing that. He never said, can we do something else? He just said, all right, man.
That's awesome.
So, listen to him. He's got some valuable insight. That's my take-home message.
All right. Aaron, thank you for
Thanks,
popping
Aaron.
in and saying hello. And
Good
now
seeing you
we're
guys.
good.
Always good
You
to
too,
see
buddy.
you.
We got to golf soon.
Yep. See you
All
soon.
right. All right. So right now, Justin, I brought this up before. Nick, we were going to do the segment, even if you weren't able to join us, your favorite segment here on the show in Blind Nil. And I'm going to start it with just a couple of questions, specifically, Justin, for you, because I'm curious. I want your favorite individual moment during your time with the Chiefs. Now, it doesn't have to be a play. It doesn't have to be during a game. It could be an interaction with a teammate, a staff member, whatever it is. What is like the one moment that you think of when people ask you about your time in Kansas City?
Yeah, I would say the number one thing is definitely, you kind of hear about the old Arrowhead and how packed it gets and things like that. And obviously I missed my rookie year, and then my second year when I actually end up starting my very first game, it was a home game, and they're actually introducing the defensive players. And I just remember, hearing all the stories and, kind of like when you're pregame warming up, you really don't, the fans really aren't in the stands like that. So it's kind of hard to tell, like, hey, what's going to happen. And then, man, I just keep replaying this moment. The time I came out of the tunnel, just the amount of fans and how loud it was and that roar is everything you kind of dream about as a kid when you say, hey, I want to play in NFL, is that moment, coming out of the tunnel, first game against the Chargers. And as you can remember, it's probably that the epic win that Alex Smith ended up, scoring that off that option. But yeah, so that moment there is probably something I always remember. It was always something I wanted to feel as a kid, saying, hey, I want to play in NFL, but I want to come out of the tunnel. You always see guys on TV coming out this tunnel, and then what better place to do it than Arrowhead, being the loudest stadium. So that's definitely the moment I'll remember, probably for the rest of my life. Something I always tell my kids about that very moment. That was, it was just crazy. I mean, the feeling, I can't shake that feeling, but yeah, that coming out of that tunnel, Arrowhead is a lot different than, most places.
All right. Yeah. And one other one. Sorry, Nick. One other question real quick. I want to give you an opportunity, and you can't say Aaron because we just had him on. But who is somebody that fans wouldn't know because they're not forward facing, they're not public, that was instrumental in helping you in some way? It could be health. It could be Kirsten. It could have been BJ Stable, like anyone. like who is somebody that was really instrumental for you and your family at that point in your life that fans might not know, but is part of that organization? And I try to peel back that onion of there's so many people behind the scenes who don't get credit for all the stuff they do. Aaron, Rick, that whole crew is one of them. But who is somebody that you look back on during your time in Kansas City being like, that person was awesome for me?
Yeah. So, I would definitely say, if we're going just a part of the organization as a whole, I would probably say, Therese Paylor was definitely somebody, just, may he rest, someone that brought out something I didn't really get to see, and a lot of you guys did, just being able to talk to the media and have this, open conversation. And he would ask you, hey, if you don't want me to put this in there, I won't. And then you really don't see that from a lot of places. What I've learned, being, just going to college and, some reporters there and obviously been on different teams, and him putting that, the story out about me losing my dad and kind of what that meant to me, and him taking the time to actually do that and put the right things in there so people could actually, get impacted from it, which had nothing to do with football, but everything to do with, me as a person and, who this story would impact. I just think about that moment. I just think about how that kind of helped me, because it was a very sensitive topic that I really, at the time, it was tough to talk about, but talking to him made it a lot easier, and it kind of helped me actually get over, the sharpness of that pain whenever I talked about my dad and losing my father. But Therese Paylor, definitely the guy who, in that organization that was a part of it, that kind of helped out. And obviously BJ Stabler, from all your needs when it came to, my wife moving down and, having a kid and getting connected with the right people. Definitely the behind the scenes player engagement, all across the NFL should get a lot more credit and recognition than they do, because they're the ones who kind of keep things at bay and make sure you're connected with the right people, regardless of anything. I mean, if you need a tow truck, if you need anything, some assistance with your family, and they kind of keep the show running, so that you can kind of play your best on the field. So definitely the player engagement, that entire staff with BJ and Ramsey and those guys, can't thank those guys enough for my time in Kansas City, as well as all the reporters and media. I feel like, one of the best organizations out there, actually, taking what the guys are saying and not putting a lot of, negative things. They're saying, hey, if you don't like this, we won't put it in there. And for
the most part, it's a good media group. And I didn't know a lot different, but I would hear like kind of how other places would work, and not that it's perfect, not there haven't been issues. There's always going to be issues. But that in general, like, especially when you were there, it was just, when Therese was there every day, like, it was a fun group to be around. That's it for my section of Blind No. Nick, I'll pass the baton over to you.
That's cool. So Justin, I mean, my last year was 2009 with the Saints when they won the Super Bowl. And I remember we had those relationships with media. So is that still a thing in this day and age with the Twitter fast break sort of, news? Can you still trust some reporters to be like, talk off the record and give them like kind of the inside scoop without printing it and putting your name on it?
So I know with
you don't have to say specifically.
I just laugh when you say off the record, because I know somebody that we both know that says there's no such thing as off the record.
Yeah,
like I hear that.
Yeah, I'll always hear that. I'm always kind of nervous, when those things kind of happen. But I will say in Dallas, they have some good reporters there that you kind of talk off the record with, and just kind of have fun with, and it won't end up on Twitter, it won't end up on social media, and I think that's good. I think being with the Chiefs and with the Cowboys, you got to see, how would I put it? Seeing actually starting off with the Chiefs, I was like, I'm so glad that my career started with the Chiefs, because you talk about an organization who just does everything the right way, has the right people, and then they go to Dallas and everything's a lot brighter. You have twice as many media people in there, and but still a good crowd. So. You definitely still form relationships with some of those people. I definitely still have good relationships with a lot of the Cowboys media. And, they stay in touch with me, and, we might talk about football and free agency, and it never ends up on Twitter, talk about the family, whether it's, different struggles or whatever it might be. So those relationships I think is, still important, and I still have good relationships, with those people. I really didn't get to know the Titans too well, but from what I see, they do a good job as well.
All right, and sticking with true blind nil fashion, the show. I'm not going to ask you which is better because I think both cities do something different. But I need your favorite Dallas barbecue spot, and I need your favorite Kansas City barbecue spot.
Okay, so for Dallas,
you can say like if you're like craving something or something, I go here, I go there,
Yeah. Okay, so Dallas, I'm going with Hutchins barbecue.
Okay.
Hutchins.
What do you like there?
So their burn ends are pretty good. Their burn ends are good. I know, right? So it's kind of crazy because if I could put the perfect combination, I would take the.
Let's do it.
I would take the brisket from Hutchins.
Okay.
I would take the burn ends from Q39.
Okay. With
Jack Stack sides and carrot cake. Yeah, that's how I would do it personally. So I'm always like, hey, if I could just take this brisket from Hutchins, mixed with the burn ends from Q39 with Jack Stacks, sides and carrot cake, I would be in the game. It would be perfect for me. So, but
that's your all pro barbecue plate.
Yeah, all pro. But if I was to have to choose one in Kansas City, I was a big Oklahoma Joe's, Kansas City Joe's fan. That was like my Z-Man, the go-to. So I'm going Hutchins in Dallas, and I'm going Kansas City, Oklahoma Joe's in Kansas City.
Nice. Hey, next time you come up, man, we'll take you to Jack Stack, man. They got the Crown Prime Rib. It is the dumbest thing on the planet. Like, I used to be a Joe's fan. Like, to me, it was like if I had one meal in Kansas City, it'd be like Joe's burn ends.
Yeah.
Now get that Crown Prime Rib at Jack Stack in the sides.
I gotta try it. I've been wanting to make my way back there so I could get some barbecue.
Yeah, I know, right?
Absolutely. You're welcome anytime, and we will take you. And
awesome.
I don't think I would be hard pressed to find somebody that at some point in their life hasn't done this, Nick, and you probably have done it, where it's like, you know what, I'm going to put together the ultimate barbecue and I'm going to go to 3 different places and I'm going to get what I like from here and I like from here. 2/3 of it ends up cold when you get home and you got to heat it up and it just never works out the way you want it to. But I'm not going to say I haven't done that before. All right, Justin, now we're going to put you on the spot with Blind Nil. Do you have a topic or questions that you want Nick and I to answer?
Okay. I wanted to hear this from you guys, and who just by watching, who would you rather take? Who would you guys rather take? Marcus Peters or Trayvon Diggs? And we're talking their first 2 years of their career.
I think Diggs. I think Diggs. I don't know, man. Just something about him just seems like the more complete player. Like something about him seems like more of a. I don't know. Is he a locker room leader? Like he seems like a fantastic locker room guy.
Yeah. So he's everybody likes Diggs. I mean, he's pretty quiet, kind of keeps to himself. But I mean he's always kind of like locked in. You know what I mean? Like you have to get him to not think about football sometimes, which is dope. So.
But it's tough because with Peters too, it's like you play so emotional, and you love that from a defensive player, man. You need you need them raw emotions.
Yeah.
Whereas, from an offensive lineman, man, we got to be like a cold-blooded serial killer, like no emotions whatsoever. Right. So that's why I was always envious of defensive guys, because you guys can just wear your heart on your sleeve, and we just got to be like,
right.
You just I'll answer the question, Justin. But you know how you just said you like to meet people because you could talk to them off the record. You wouldn't repeat things. Even though I'm not at the Chiefs, there's certain things I'm just not going to repeat. But that being said, I liked Marcus. Marcus and I, we got along. He always showed me respect. I learned a few things about Mark, and I'll tell this story. I don't think I've ever told this story publicly about Marcus, and I think you would understand it because you knew him a little bit. Mm-hmm. And it would only make sense to people that have been around him before. So it was a road game. This is such a dumb thing, but it's what I think of when I think of Marcus. So it was one of those road games. Nick, we've talked about this. You ride the bus, you get to the hotel, you get off the bus, and then everybody waits for the elevator for like 40 minutes because all the players, and like we're in the business staff, so we're at the back. You guys get on the elevators, you go up. We're sitting waiting for all the elevators to fill up. Well, I don't remember. I think we were in San Diego. I think it was San Diego. I'm almost positive it was because I can picture the locker room after the game, and it was tiny. So I'm pretty sure that was San Diego. But the bus got to the team hotel, and everybody was waiting on the elevators. Well, like it was Steve Nelson, Marcus, and I want to think it was Hussein Abdul. It was somebody else. Tried to get, and there's like 3 elevators on each side, and we're kind of like sitting in a room to go inside. Well, they try to get in the back corner elevator. Well, it filled up. And so like they were coming back. They were the last 3 players, and then it was all business staff. Well, the elevator just to the right, like right by us, opened while they're shut on them. Well, then there were a couple of guys, and one of them was the photographer, and it wasn't his fault, but like he saw it open, and he started to walk to get on the elevator in front of the players. I put my arm out to stop him, and right when I did that, Marcus looked and saw me stop him and let them onto the elevator, and he just kind of nodded. Didn't think anything of it. Fast forward to after the game, we won. I'm standing by Kansas City. I won't say who it is, but Kansas City Star reporter who post game, they won, goes up to Marcus, and I was sitting right there, and he goes, "Marcus, can I get a time?" Marcus like, "I ain't talking to you guys today." Just being he's just Marcus. It's like, okay. So I looked, and I just kind of nodded and started to turn around. He reached out, grabbed my arm. He goes, "BJ, whatever you need. What do you got?" And he had never done that like that before. Like, we were cool, but nothing like that. And the only thing I could think of was I showed him respect in a very simple way with the elevator thing. And he knew to show me respect. He just answered my simple. It was never anything edgy, but we always just kind of like, I showed him respect in that way. I was respectful of his time. I always felt like that was my big thing. Be respectful of your guys' time. And that's how it was reciprocated to me. So the passionate, when things went bad, that's stuff that I didn't see. But in that way, like I understood Marcus. But that being said, I'm not going to say it was perfect with him the whole time, and I was never around Diggs, but Diggs seems to be making a lot of the same plays that Marcus did. And seems to be locked in that kind of way. But you and I both, Marcus needs football. Like that is what that guy was about, and where he's from and how he grew up and all of that stuff made him who he is. And I completely respected and understood kind of where he came from. So I don't know if that answers the question.
No,
I would take
does.
Either one of those guys, but that's my Marcus story that I always think about. And during the other one was actually a Terez. That Terez was one of the very few people when things got really testy with Marcus that the media was scared to talk to him. They wouldn't go ask him because you never knew what he'd just go off.
I love seeing that.
Terez
was afraid of players, like.
But they would sit in the corner, and I just knew because when that stuff was going on, Chiefs.com wasn't going to be covering it, so like I didn't need to go over there. But Terez by himself walked over there, and Marcus would talk to him. And I think fans would realize they don't have to talk to you. Like they don't have to do that. And there is, I don't want to say an intimidation type deal, but it's not easy just to walk over and talk to a player like that, especially with Marcus in that scenario. And Terez was the one guy who could do it because he had Marcus's respect because of the way that he carried himself and the way he was with you as well.
Yep, for sure. That answer.
So, all right. Well, that is Blind Nil, and that is this week's episode of Outside the Trenches. Thank you, Tucker, for producing behind the scenes and joining us at the beginning. Nick, thanks for coming on. And Justin, man, it was a pleasure. Always enjoy catching up with you. We got to do this more, but I'm not going to ask you for a prediction because I don't want to put you in that spot. But what are you looking forward to most about the game on Sunday?
I'm looking forward to a lot of playmakers. Probably in one game that I think I'll ever be able to watch. I think for a lot of people, I mean, all across the boards. I mean, what Snead is doing out there for the Chiefs, Honey Badger, those guys. Obviously, Chris Jones, and that defense. And then you got the Cowboys. You got all their stars over there. You got Dak and Mahomes going at it. You got Travis Kelce. You got Dalton Schultz, which is another good tight end. Obviously you got CeeDee Lamb, and you got Tyreek Hill, Josh Gordon, those guys. I mean, a lot of talent, a lot of star-studded talent. I think will be in one game. So I think everybody's just kind of sit back and enjoy it, kind of watch the show. I'm hoping for a good game. And I just don't know who's going to win. I think that's the beauty of it. Is going in the game and not really having, okay, this is exactly who's going to win.
Yep.
But I think in any given moment, I think there'll be a big play. I think Tyreek will make a big play. I think Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb will make a big play. I think Zeke will have a couple nice runs. And I also think there'll be times where, the Chiefs get a 3rd and 1 stop against Zeke. So I'm expecting it to be fun, man. And what I do know is guys like Mahomes and those guys, once they get opportunity to play against Cowboys and America's team, they're going to have something to prove. So, I expect it to be super, super competitive. I think it'll be fun to watch.
And let's not pretend that this game doesn't mean a lot to the Hunt family.
Nope.
That's been brought up, but
the history is
that
Yeah.
messaging definitely hits. At some point, there was like a hey, like that look like, hey, come on.
Yeah,
man.
yeah. I mean, this is what you want your Super Bowl to be. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
This could be a
absolutely.
matchup. This
Yeah,
could be a
for
matchup.
sure.
And the beauty thing for Chiefs Kingdom, which you mentioned when you ran out of that tunnel for the first time, is those 3:30 kickoffs at Arrowhead. I loved it as a fan because that's prime tailgating time. That you don't got to get up super early, even though they will, because they'll just tailgate in line before they get into the tailgate or before they get into the parking lot. But should be a good one. Again, Chiefs Cowboys on Sunday, 3:25 at Arrowhead. 2 teams at the top of their division, and maybe a preview of Super Bowl. Who knows? But a lot still to be figured out before then. But Justin March-Lillard, appreciate you for joining us. And
Yes,
Nick, always a pleasure. Chiefs Kingdom, we will see you next time. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe to all of our different channels. We appreciate you for joining us. We'll see you next time.
All right.